Welcome back to our classroom. Our topic for today is about developmental psychology. What is developmental psychology? The study of you from womb to womb. We are going to study how we change physically, socially, cognitively, morally over our time. Nature versus nurture. While going through this unit, always been in the back of your head. Are you who you are because of the way you were born, nature, the way you were raised, nurture? The psychology of a child during infancy and early childhood from 0 months to 5 years. The special features of behavioral pattern at this age are dependency on others, depending on parents and family members for basic needs. Children expect to be loved and cared. They require the attention of parents' self-assertion, where children tries to dominate elders. Though they are dependent, children think that they are always right and all should obey him or her. Psychology of a child during infancy, 0 to 5 years. This is continuation of the first page. Period of make-believe and fantasy. They live in their world of creation. Increased fantasy and limited potentials are seen. Selfish and unsocial, not sharing the toys with the others, do not want to love of the parents to be divided, also thinks that he or she should be only cared at home. They are emotionally unstable. Violent emotional experiences can be expected. All the emotional expressions are intense, frequent, and unstable. Mental development of these childs. Developing curiosity and questioning attitude, concrete thinking not developed. Sexual development. Though the sexual organs are not developed, the tendency starts developing. The infant passes through 3 stages such as self-love, homosexual, and heterosexual. Example sucking of thumb, the touching sexual organs, love for parents, etc. The special features of behavioral pattern at this age are craving for independence, feel more at home with the world and take satisfaction by doing his work with his own efforts, and tries to be independent from parents, and he considers parents as the people who just provide food and shelter. Emotional stability and control. The child learns to hide his feelings, learns to express the emotion in an appropriate and socially acceptable manner. Developing social tendency. During 6 to 12 years of age of a child, there is a developing social tendency like playing in group, mutual cooperation, team spirit, group loyalties, realistic attitude, accepting the realities of life, no more believe in the world of fantasy and fairy tales. Formation of sentiments and complexes. Various sentiments like religious, moral, patriotic are developed in this stage. Also, sexual development, more friendly with own sex group. These are psychology of 6 to 12 years old. Intellectual development of 6 to 12 years old. Power of reasoning, thinking, observation, concentration, perception, imagination are developed. Development of interest and aptitude. Likes and dislikes are formed, such as likes, dislikes for books, television shows. Boys show adventurous activities while girls show softness and feministic features. The psychology of the 13 to 19 years old. Perplexity with regards to somatic variation. The flow of blood during menstruation creates worries among girls and gives birth to many fears and anxieties. It makes them introvert and secretive for both boys and girls' appearance and bodily condition, which is not keeping with the norms of normalcy, will cause anxiety. These girls want to look feminine and attractive to boys. Boys want to be manly in order to gain prestige. We can also observe the secondary sexual characteristic at this stage, that is 13 to 19 years of age psychology. What are these secondary sexual characteristics? Menards for girls, first ejaculation for boys, hairy body, widening of the hips for girls. These are psychology of adolescent, 13 to 19 years old. Intensification of self-awareness. There is an increased desire that their bodily changes should be noticed by elders. More attention is given towards dress, makeup, manner of talking, walking, eating, etc. Want to become the center of attraction for the opposite sex, and violence also may be made for it. Intensification of sex consciousness, like menstruation and ejaculation, beginning of masturbation and homosexuality. Independence versus dependence, self-decision, maturity require more freedom and thrill. Peer group relationship. These are called teenagers from 13 to 19. So they experience peer group relationship, spend more time with peer, increased loyalty towards own group like fraternities, sororities, and some social groups. Idealism versus realism. Though thought of reformation of world, less religious, questioning the systems. Psychology of early adult from 20 to 40 years. All physical abilities essentially peak by our mid-20s. Jobs and career, relationship and marriage, separated from family, less emotional dependence on the parents. Size of the family and education of children, role and status in the community and family. More exploration, identification, and establishing self, dreams, vision, etc. Okay, so let's go to the psychology of the middle adult from 40 to 60 years of age. So adult, slow decline in physical strength, energy, and enthusiasm. Irritability, depression, insomnia, and weight gain. Adjust with menopause. Feel that clock is ticking faster and a worry whether I have done my work to satisfaction. Psychology of late adult from 60 years old onwards. Deterioration in physical health like heart disease, changes in perception, lack of vision, blurry vision, hearing, smell, etc. Changes in cognitive dimension, memory loss, dementia, etc. Changes in social dimension, more solitary, loss of spouse, loss of friends. Changes in emotionality and temperament, more irritable, short-tempered, fearful, anxiety, and feeling of isolation. That's for 60 years old onwards psychology. Erik Erikson, a new Freudian. Freudian means Sigmund Freud. Work with Anna Freud. Thought our personality was influenced by our experiences with others. Stages of psychosocial development. Each stage centers on a social conflict. Trust versus mistrust. Can a baby trust the world to fulfill its needs? the trust or mistrust they can develop carry on with the child for the rest of their lives. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. Toddlers begin to control their bodies. Toilet training, control temper tantrums, big word is no. Can they learn control or will they doubt themselves? Initiative versus guilt. Words turns from no to why. Want to understand the world and ask questions. Is their curiosity encouraged or scolded? Industry versus inferiority. School begins. We are for the first time evaluated by formal system of our peers. Do we feel good or bad about our accomplishments? Or can lead to us feeling bad about ourselves for the rest of our lives? That is inferiority complex. Identity versus role confusion. This is sometimes called as identity crisis. In our teenage years, we try out different roles. Who am I? What a group do I fit? If I do not find myself, I may develop identity crisis. Intimacy versus isolation. Have to balance work and relationship. What are my priorities? Marriage, at least 5:1 ratio of positive to negative interaction is a clear indicator of a healthy relationship. Generativity versus stagnation. Is everything going as planned? I am happy with what I created. Midlife crisis. Integrity versus despair. Look back on life. Was my life meaningful or do I have regrets? These are the thoughts of adults 60 years old onwards. Here is psychology of vulnerable individuals. Vulnerability, it is susceptibility of being physical or emotionally wounded. These are individuals more vulnerable or exposed to possibility of being attacked, harmed or wounded, either physically or psychologically. Psychology of such vulnerable individuals is explained here under the following headings. Sick or ailing persons, the women, and the challenged individuals. Sick, their dependence on others may make them to feel humiliated and small in the eyes of the members of their families and caregiving relatives or friends. They may turn into chronic victims of anxiety, worries, fear, and phobias. They may become suspicious about their care and treatment, and they have a tendency to complain about everything such as food and comfort. On women, education and employment of women have brought several changes. Legislation have altered rights of women in terms of inheritance opportunities and rights, and have radically altered roles of women. Still, there is a gap between what is legally possible and the reality. There are signs of change. But still, in a country like India, where traditions are dominating the lifestyle of people, the gender differences and stereotypes are continuing. Women are considered as homemakers and nurturers. Still on women total dependence on the men has decreased. Men are yet to accept these changes in role relationship. Even women may find difficult to adjust new roles. They are expected to be passive, submissive, and dependent. On women, the main health problems of women are identified as high maternal mortality, high maternal morbidity, low life expectancy, menstrual disorders, mental disorders, high suicide rate, and malnourishment. tourist. Challenge. This is generally applied to individuals who are facing problems regarding their adjustment, development, and well-being on account of their disabilities, abnormalities, or malfunctioning. They could be broadly classified into two groups: the motor disabilities and sensory disabilities. Children with motor disabilities are orthopedically handicapped, having physical defect or deformity that causes interference with the normal functioning of the bones, joints, and muscles. Children with sensory disabilities will have handicaps such as blindness, mutism, and deafness. This lead to poor development of intelligence due to lack of stimulation. Psychologically, this physically change may show many maladaptive reactions such as self-pity, stubbornness, shyness, refusal to use prosthetic devices, inferiority feelings, demanding extra attention, using handicap as an excuse, feeling of helplessness, jealousy, negative emotion like anxiety. Children sometimes blame themselves or their parents for their problems. Such children need to be counseled to accept their disability to handle the negative emotion. Getting them involved in support group, developing positive attitude towards prosthetic device. Remedial teaching or training may be necessary to overcome weaknesses for children. Confidence building will help them overcome feelings of inferiority and shyness. Mentally challenged. Mentally challenged is the term used in the place of mentally retarded. Mentally challenged children are those with subnormal level of intelligence. They will have low power of thinking, reasoning, learning, and understanding. They will have limited interest and aptitude, but no creativity. Usually the children having below 70 IQ are considered mentally challenged, or what we called before as mentally retarded. It will appropriate to consider the treatment or remedial measures for the adjustment, rehabilitation, and education of the mentally retarded or mentally challenged children. Provision may be made for special education and training. Socially challenged. This includes delinquents, criminals, drug addicts, alcoholics, and etc. They feel inferior, isolation, and hesitation. They are always in war with self and society. We may expect antisocial and unethical behavior from them. These are what we call the social challenge group of people. Role of nurse, showing tolerance and patience, learning skilled way of dealing with vulnerable, providing needed guidance and counseling. Role of nurse. Psychology of groups. What are these? Group is defined as collection of two or more interdependent individuals who usually feel, think, and act together. Characteristics: existence of two or more than two members, interdependence in relationship, common goal, group loyalty, definite set of values or norms, demonstration of group behavior. Types of group. These are important on choosing what type of group we should belong as adolescent. We group and others group. Primary group are intimate, and secondary groups are professional groups. Organized and spontaneous, formal, rigid rules, values, and norms. An informal group is about liberty, freedom of action, and informal relationships. Group dynamics. It is the interactive psychological relationship in which the members of the group develop a common perception based on feelings and emotion. This inter-simulative relationship may be described by the term Group dynamics. We have here stages for group development. Stages are forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. You can read the characteristics, guys, for yourselves. Forming. Group members look at the leader for direction. Members are sizing each other up. Members focus their discussion on the task at hand, not worrying about relationship. Feelings going through members include insecurity, nervousness, and they are asking themselves, do I belong? Will I be accepted by the group? Storming. This stage is characterized by tension, competition, conflict among group members. Questions arise about who is responsible for what and for what rules. Some members maybe remain silent while others attempt to dominate. Some members question authority and competency of the group leader. Norming. Conflicts are resolved and there is a stronger sense of belonging to the group. Creativity is high. People know where they fit and what is expected of them. Performing. Now the group is in the high gear and highly productive. The need for a group approval is past. Group members can now focus on the task and care for other members of the group. Group identity is complete and group morale is high. Adjourning or reforming. This stage occurs when the tasks are completed and there are no longer need for the group to exist. This stage includes recognition for participation awards and opportunity for a group members to say goodbye. With the dissolving of the group, new leaders are needed to take the new task, so a new group will be formed. Principles of formation of group. Physical proximity or closeness, interaction among individuals, similarity in attitudes, similar in interest, similar in purpose, group attraction, serving a specific purpose, similarity on occupation or means of livelihood, meaning people in this group may have same interest. Factors influencing group behavior. Sympathy. It helps in perceiving psychological state for another person. Suggestion. Help in collective thinking. Imitation. This explained as following group members in common action. And thanks for listening, guys. And this is our last topic. You can answer the questions at the end of this video. Thank you so much and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share my videos.